was very, very young uh, when there was only Doordarshan, and there was this very famous poet called Harendranath Chattopadhyay. उनकी एक पोयम थी जो मुझे बहुत दिल से डीपली अफेक्ट कर गई थी, और जब मैं बड़ा हुआ मैंने वो ढूंढ के निकाली. तो आई विल जस्ट टेक यू थ्रू द पोयम. In days gone by, I used to be a potter who would feel his fingers mold the yielding clay to patterns on his wheel. But now, through wisdom lately won, that pride has gone away. I have ceased to be the potter and have learned to be the clay. In other days, I used to be a poet through whose pen innumerable songs would come to win the hearts of men. But now, through new got knowledge, which I hadn't had so long, I have ceased to be the poet and have learned to be the song. I was a fashioner of swords in days that now are gone, which on 100 battlefields glittered and gleamed and shone. But now I am brimming with the silence of the Lord. I have ceased to be the sword maker and have learned to be the sword. In bygone days I used to be a dreamer who would hurl on every side an insolence of emerald and pearl. But now I am kneeling at the feet of the Supreme. I have ceased to be the dreamer and have learned to be the dream. एंड ये जब मैंने सुनी थी तो तब तो मैं आर्टिस्ट बनूंगा मुझे पता नहीं था.
Hmm.
बट जस्ट द फैक्ट दैट अ पर्सन कैन इवॉल्व लाइक दिस कि यू बिकम अ instrument for some force of creativity that comes forth from you. You can call it God, you can call it nature, you can call it providence, universe. और ये मुझे बहुत बार मेरे लिखने में भी मुझे लगता है कि बहुत बार तारीफ होती है, तो आप आके बोलोगे अरे क्या बढ़िया लिखा है बंटी, मुझे बहुत मज़ा आया. एंड मैं सोचता हूँ यार मैं भी ऐसा ही सोच रहा हूँ कि क्या मस्त लिखा है. बट ये मेरे बारे में नहीं, ये कहाँ से आया मुझे पता नहीं, और कहाँ से दो आइडियाज़ कंबाइन हो गए और इतना ब्रिलियंट होके आ गया, यहाँ ब्यूटीफुल होके आ गया. एंड आई एम ऑल्सो मेस्मराइज. मतलब ठीक है कि हर बार बोलो तो लगता है कि फॉल्स ह्यूमिलिटी है, इसलिए ऐसा बोलता नहीं हूँ. बट बहुत बार मैं इसके बारे में सोच चुका हूँ और मुझे बहुत अ, बहुत हर्ष होता है कि आई एम द फर्स्ट रीडर ऑफ माई राइटिंग. कि थैंक यू जो भी फोर्स थी जिसने मुझे ये दिया. एंड आई लाइक इट दैट वे.
Hmm.
ये टॉपिक पे आज बात करने के लिए मेरे साथ एक दूसरे आर्टिस्ट हैं, जो फोटोग्राफर रहे हैं, जो काइंड ऑफ क्रॉनिकल करते हैं अपनी जर्नीज रूरल इंडिया में जाके. कहानियाँ वो बोलते हैं जो हम सबको सुननी चाहिए, ध्यान देना चाहिए, देखना चाहिए, पढ़ना चाहिए. रोहित एक फोटोग्राफर है. वेलकम टू द शो रोहित.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the poem.
हाँ, बहुत ही खूबसूरत कविता है एंड आई रियली लव इट.
Yes.
रोहित, आप आपसे मेरे को जब बात करनी है तो लेट अस गो टू द कोर ऑफ व्हाट द फर्स्ट थॉट फॉर मी वाज. व्हाट इज द पर्पस ऑफ आर्ट? आपके हिसाब से क्यों हम कुछ भी क्रिएट करते हैं?
Hmm. Okay. So if I tell you from my completely from my perspective how I function,
जी.
how I do my artwork, it's like I feel something, then I do it actually. And then I learned that in that process, whatever is the outcome, let let it be for the service of the society or for the reflection of the society. I am not the one who makes the decision that how my work will like kind of make impact for me or to anyone else. So for me, when I also started my artwork, that's just to do what I am inside from. That's how I do. So for me, art is like something is like your own reflection and how जिसको हम बोलते हैं तराशना होता है ना तराशना.
यस.
बस पिछले 15 साल से मैं तराश ही रहा हूँ अपने आप को. उसको वही मेरे लिए आर्ट है. उसका ही आउटकम है जो आप लोग देखते हैं या आपने कहीं जो भी पढ़ा है पहले मेरे बारे में मेरे काम के बारे में देखा है वो वही आउटकम है. बस सिंपल तरीके से मैं इस तरीके से ही देखता हूँ और इस तरीके से सोचता हूँ. मतलब एक एक्स्ट्रा एफर्ट नहीं है जैसा कि आपने बोला ना जो पोएम में भी बोला आपने कि मुझे कुछ करना नहीं है बेसिकली, एक्चुअली मैं खुद ही हो रहा हूँ एक्चुअली ना, तो वही प्रोसेस है। हाँ।
जी। बट ये मैं फिर अभी क्वालिफाई करना चाहूँगा कि एक टाइम था, इतना सिंपल नहीं था.
हम्म।
There was a lot of pride in the way I created things. There was a lot of hard work into learning my art, going deeply into it, trying to figure
हम्म।
out. एक बहुत बढ़िया चीज़ फेसबुक पे चलती है, कई बार मेरे फीड पे आती है कि जब मैं चला जाऊंगा तो लोग अगर मेरा इंटरनेट सर्च हिस्ट्री देखेंगे तो देखेंगे सिंपल वर्ड्स के मीनिंग ही ढूंढते रह गए. ये तो मतलब हर चीज़ में अ, बहुत बार वो वर्ड बहुत बार यूज़ किया होता है, बट ऐसा कंफ्यूजन होता है, अरे ये एग्जैक्टली वो है क्या जो मैं बोलना चाह रहा हूँ. उसी को
हम्म।
ढूंढने में जा रहे हैं, चाहे वो रोजमर्रा वर्ड हो,
हम्म।
समथिंग दैट आई बीन यूजिंग वेरी रेगुलरली. So my question to you, this kind of simplicity at looking your art
हम्म।
comes after a lot of, um at least for me, it came out of a lot of work. How do
हम्म।
you see your journey? आप शुरू से ही ऐसे एकदम सादगी से कि अच्छा मैं जा रहा हूँ क्रॉनिकल कर रहा हूँ, जिनको जो बोलना है बोलने दो, और वॉज देयर अ थिंग कि यार ये क्या कर रहे हो, तुम्हारा दिमाग खराब है क्या, यार ये तो बहुत ब्यूटीफुल है, ये तो बहुत खराब है, ये तो फोटो ठीक नहीं आया, या कोई टाइप ऑफ सेल्फ जजमेंट हुआ? मैंने नोटिस किया है आप फोटो के साथ अपने थॉट्स भी लिखते हो, अटैच करते हो आपके इंस्टा अकाउंट पे. तो
हम्म।
आप इसको कैसे देखते हो?
तो दो चीज है, एक तो है कि जो अंदर का एक बच्चा है ना, जो मेरे अंदर बच्चा है, तो वो कहीं ना कहीं एक डरा हुआ है. दैट्स हाउ आई हैव बीन ग्रोन अप. इफ आई सी माई चाइल्डहुड एंड देन हाउ आई सी माई अडल्टहुड, नो. सो जो बच्चा डरा हुआ होता है, वो ट्राई करता है प्रूव करने का ना अपने आप को. तो ही ट्राई टू बिकम वेरी परफेक्ट पर्सन, राइट. दैट्स अ काइंड ऑफ वन ऑफ द एस्पेक्ट ऑफ माई वर्क. बट उसके पहले एक और एस्पेक्ट आता है, जहां पे वो मेरे अंदर शुरू से ही है कि हाँ, मुझे जो कर रहा हूँ वो मैं मुझे दिल से करना है. वट एवर आई एम डूइंग इट फ्रॉम माई हार्ट ओनली. I just don't want to do it for anyone else. So in the last 15 years, I haven't changed my work much actually. My work is simply focused on the emotions of the people and expressions of the people. I thought, okay, maybe let me try some fine art, let me try some this kind of photography or something this. But I realized, no, I am not for this actually. I want to do this only, and whatever I am doing, and just do it with the complete honesty in your capacity, in your realization, whatever honesty you have right now, do with that capacity. At the same time, there is a child who try to kind of become perfect. And I think in the last 2, 3 years, not in 2, 3 years, in the last 1 year, I have seen the change. The child has also like kind of grown up a bit, and now it's learning it's okay to commit mistakes, it's okay not to be perfect. So I'm not claiming right now, but yeah, I'm seeing this change actually. And that for that change, that has been my fight actually. My fight hasn't been my work actually. My fight with myself was for many years that I'm trying to prove something, that child is trying to prove something, and which the adult Rohit doesn't want to be actually. So that's the main journey. That's why I sometimes think that my work is one thing, but it's one of the medium to make me grow into a kind of no more uh evolved human, I guess so. Yeah.
Hmm.
But I would like to add one more thing in this.
Please, please.
The big problem with this actually, because when you grow, and you keeping inside, you see now this is there, this residual is there, this thing is there. So then you learn, okay, then again you go back to your old self. But gradually you are learning now, it's fine. The way you are growing, that is also fine. You don't have to grow at once in all direction.
This is so beautifully put. You have completely dissolved the outside and realized that सब कुछ अंदर ही है. Everything is
Mhm.
inside you, and you have to align yourself with whatever is and try and keep on
Yeah.
molding yourself. Which is what I loved about the poem that we started with, because the first time when I heard it, I was very young, and imagine Doordarshan days, we had like ऐसे बहुत कम opportunities थे where an Indian poet who would come and recite in English and he is on something. एंड अराउंड मी तो बहुत ज़्यादा लोगों को इंग्लिश एज अ लैंग्वेज ऐसा लगता था, पढ़ना पड़ेगा, एग्ज़ाम देना पड़ेगा. somehow I always felt कि क्या ब्यूटीफुल चीज़ है ये. माने वंस यू नो अ लैंग्वेज यू स्टार्ट लविंग इट एंड यू स्टार्ट गोइंग इनटू द डेप्थ ऑफ इट. उसका अपना एक स्वाद है. एंड एनी लैंग्वेज, नॉट इंग्लिश नेसेसरीली. अभी मैं बड़ा हुआ तो फिर जब मैं एडवर्टाइजिंग में था, हिंदी जब मेन स्ट्रीम होने लगा, तो हिंदी राइटर्स के साथ जब टाइम बिताता था तो लगता था कि काश के हिंदी को भी इतना ही डेप्थ से स्टडी किया होता तो कितना मज़ा आता. कितना मतलब कितना मुलायम है हर चीज़, जैसे समझ में आए. हर शब्द एक नई दुनिया खोल देता है. इनफैक्ट आई वांट टू रियली wish you well on how you write, because that is one of the things that I found very very fascinating. So if the photograph has started the journey for me, you actually continue it with your writing. दोनों में मैं एक ही आत्मा देखता हूँ कि it kind of flows and it kind of gives me some. I may not agree with the way you perceive the photograph, like you very well said,
Yeah.
but it doesn't take away from the, both are independently also good. But this is Rohit speaking about why he took the photograph, what he felt about that emotion, that feeling. And I think as an artist that I find it very fascinating. So one question about the art itself.
Mhm.
uh, बहुत बार ना किनको मैं जब अब मैं क्रिएटिविटी के क्लासेस शुरू करने के इसमें हूँ कि बच्चों को क्रिएटिव सिखाऊंगा, स्कूल्स जाके कुछ बातें चालू है वो. वन ऑफ द थिंग्स दैट पीपल दैट हैव मेंटोर्ड, एक दो चार राइटर्स कभी कहीं जूनियर रहेंगे मेरे अंडर, तो उनके अंदर ये था कि अरे ट्राई नहीं करना या ईगो नहीं होना, और ये कैसा पॉसिबल है. You need to win this thing and you need to prove this thing right, and others are putting your line down or the copy you've written. But over a period, yes, there are days when you feel dejected कि अरे यार ये तो रिजेक्ट हो गया. अभी इनफैक्ट आज ही हमने कोई एक बहुत ही अच्छे क्लाइंट का कुछ पिच किया था, तो अच्छा हुआ था. तो मेरे पार्टनर ने मुझे मैसेज भेजा, मैंने बोला हम लोग नहीं सिलेक्ट हुए हैं. तो उसने मुझे मैसेज भेजा, लगता है हम लोग बूढ़े हो रहे हैं. तो मैंने बोला बूढ़े और समझदार भी हो सकते हैं. वी आर एबल टू टेक इट, वी आर लाफिंग एट आवरसेल्व्स, बट वी, एंड माय रिस्पांस टू द क्लाइंट whoever had asked for the pitch, I said कि can we try again if there is another project. तो उन्होंने लिख के भेजा yes definitely. तो दैट मीन्स उतना तो रैपो बन गया, उतना तो काम उनको पसंद आया, चलो किसी दिन जब होगा तो होगा. द आइडिया ऑफ द वर्क बीइंग फुलफिलिंग, एंड येट देयर इज दिस लर्निंग वेयर यू आर, जो आप बोले ना वो बच्चा प्रूव करना चाहता है, वो वैलिडेशन ढूंढ रहा है. बट देयर इज ऑल्सो सेल्फ वैलिडेशन दैट डजंट कम इजी. समटाइम्स वी आर वेरी वेरी क्रिटिकल ऑफ आवर ओन वर्क. एक बहुत प्यारी कहानी याद आ रही है मुझे. एक ऑस्ट्रेलियन मोनेस्ट्री में एक मंक थे जिन्होंने एक वॉल बनाया, और उन्होंने डिसाइड किया कि ये वॉल बहुत बढ़िया बनेगा, और एक एक ब्रिक और बराबर उन्होंने ले किया एकदम ये करके. 100 ब्रिक्स अगर वॉल में लगनी थी, 99 ब्रिक्स एकदम ही बराबर लग गई, एक ब्रिक कहीं पे गड़बड़ हो गई. तो जब भी कोई आता और वो दिखाते और बात होती कि इन्होंने बनाया, तो उनको सिर्फ वो एक ही ब्रिक दिखती थी. Those 99 bricks didn't matter for him, but that one brick that was wrongly placed or had a bit of a fault. So this story stuck with me, कि how we are self-critical. How do you look at it?
So what I have learned over the time, and I would say that you don't have to be kind of very desperate to make something good, actually, you know. That's what I realized. So, for example, if there's my workstation, my table is there, I feel okay, this everything has to be organized here. There should not be one stain on my work table, right? But sometimes I just leave it alone, because when I see it is becoming my obsession, actually, that time I need to kind of surrender. So that's what I try sometime in my work also. Okay, I know that I am looking for this. Because as a photographer, when you go in the field, you don't immediately try start taking pictures. No, you go, you meet community, you meet people, right? And you observe them, how they are smiling, how they are adoring their baby, right? How they are doing the farming, their basic, nuances, their daily routine, their daily emotions, expression, how they are interacting with each other, right? When you take picture, now in your head you have that certain emotion you want to capture only, which you saw without the camera, right? Then it's become very hard to take. But then again, you explain entire purpose of your photography to the people, so it becomes kind of very, kind of relation with them, and they understand you also. Okay, what you are trying to take, then you take that picture. Even in that case, if something is not happening, that's fine. Fine. You don't have to be very kind of desperate now to get that same moment which you really saw before taking the pictures. So that's how I kind of know, okay, just now you have to like kind of surrender, because your body become tight na in that moment, no, when you are wanting something but it's not happening. And I have seen that moment many times, not only in my work, in my personal relations, in my general life also. So that realization that this is the point that you have to let things go now. And it takes a lot of guts and lot of self-awareness, I am telling you. And it's a very difficult thing. But once you learn to let this thing go, or this person go, or let this photograph go, it's such a peace actually. Such a peace. I'll tell you one good example.
Please.
So in Odisha, there was a man, he was plowing the field, not the ox or not the tractor or anything. And it was kind of very mud kind of, because it was monsoon season, and he had to sow this paddy crop. So like this thick kind of mud was there. It was really hard to walk on that area. And I was just passing through road, so I just saw him and I stopped and I just saw him. I did not take my camera. I was just seeing him only. I don't know what happened to me. I did not take that photograph. And that was one of the very precious photograph for anyone, right? To capture that moment, that in this time, a person is exploring the field actually. And I just left and I thought, why I did not take that picture? And I told one of my friends who was there with me in the field, and why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? We would have stopped properly and went to him and we would have taken this picture. But sometimes that kind of therao actually, na, and you feel very quiet inside. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. So that's I think moment actually.
Wow. That's very beautiful. And that is the ultimate letting go, that you didn't even realize you didn't take a picture till later.
Yeah, yeah.
तो ऐसा हुआ है कई बार. इवन so this is relatable in a funny manner. In spite of joining advertising, what I learned in my initial days in this was that you need to be very authentic and honest with your idea. And
Mm-hmm.
once I cracked the idea, um, I just presented it as simply as I could.
Mm-hmm.
So once some client asked me, no, no, do this, do this. So after two, three rewrites, I landed up writing something which was big and didn't mean anything. Big words, interesting words.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, lovely, I want this only. एंड
Okay.
आई वॉज टेकन अबैक, क्योंकि मैंने इतने साल में जो 3-4 साल इनिशियल था, मैंने कभी इस तरह से लिखा ही नहीं था. बिकॉज दूसरों का काम दिखता था. आई यूज टू लुक एट इट एंड आई फेल्ट कि नो, आई आई वॉन्ट टू बी ऑनेस्ट टू द आइडिया. आई डोंट वॉन्ट टू डू मोर.
Yeah, yeah.
But that guy paid me extremely well, and I actually went back and sat down to think about it. Is this what needs to be done? In
Mm-hmm.
initial once or twice I tried that kind of thing, trying to marry my idea and with the idea of expressing itself a little more flamboyantly, कि कुछ थोड़ा glamour लाके देखते हैं. So that started to work because I was very sure that I didn't want to be dishonest to the idea itself. माने सिर्फ वर्ड, मतलब जब तो एडवर्टाइजिंग में फॉर मी देर वर टू वेज ऑफ राइटिंग. वन वॉज हैविंग एन आइडिया एंड कम्युनिकेटिंग इट वेरी नाइसली. द अदर वॉज जस्ट यूजिंग लैंग्वेज एंड प्लेइंग विद इट. जैसे ये लिमरिक्स होते हैं, उनके साथ खेला, या कोई वर्ड्स के साथ खेला, बट फॉर द हेक ऑफ इट. तो आपने कोई पन यूज कर लिया, ऐसे ही मस्ती में है कि आपको भी पता चलेगा कि ये मस्ती कर रहा है, एंड इट्स फाइन विद मी. देयर इज नो आइडिया, बट इट इज नाइस टू रीड एंड यू आर एंजॉइंग योरसेल्फ. So this happened to me, and this was a great learning. Ke, oh, sometimes a client can teach you about your art which you do not know how to express. And also some days गुस्सा भी मिला है किसी का कि अरे ये क्या है, तुम कुछ बड़ा चढ़ा के लिख ही नहीं रहे. एंड आई एम लाइक नहीं नहीं, ये नहीं पॉसिबल, मैं नहीं कर पाऊंगा ये. there are jobs that I have not done. Some kind of advertising that is harmful to the society. आई एम वेरी वेरी क्लियर कि कितने भी पैसे हो मैं इस दिशा में नहीं जा पाऊंगा. देर आर सर्टन कैटेगरीज ऑफ क्लाइंट्स जहाँ पे मेरे अपने मॉरल स्टैंडर्ड्स मुझे रोकते हैं. मैंने एंड आई हैव गॉन थ्रू सम टफ टाइम्स एट टाइम्स. मैंने देर वाज वन पीरियड ऑफ एटलीस्ट 3 months जहाँ पे आई वाज वर्किंग पार्ट टाइम फॉर अ कंपनी विच वाज डूइंग फार्मास्यूटिकल एडवर्टाइजिंग. एंड तो उसमें मैं काफ़ी बहुत दिक्कत से गुजरा. कई बार ऐसा काम होता था कि देश से कि अरे बोल दो चाहे क्या है उसमें. एंड आई कुड नॉट ब्रिंग माई सेल्फ. आई सेड जब मेरे घर वालों को ये दवाई दी जाएगी या डॉक्टर कन्विंस हो जाएंगे, दिस इज नॉट समथिंग दैट आई वुड वांट. माने जो मुझे नहीं चलता मेरे बारे में, हाउ कैन आई डिसाइड कि रोहित के घर में हो गया तो मैं थोड़ी जानता हूँ कौन है रोहित. दैट डजंट वर्क फॉर मी. सो वो दोज आर ट्रबलसम टाइम्स विथ योर आर्ट. सो in your case I want to ask, because of the example you gave, okay, you've seen a emotion which is very rare and very nice between a mother and son, or a family moment, because you're staying there as a guest or whatever, और कुछ ऐसा हो गया और आपने देख लिया कि oh wow, this is one of the insightful moments. And we have so many in our lives. Now when you are trying to capture it, it's a false kind of thing, because now you are guiding them कि ऐसा act करो और ऐसा करो. What do you feel about that falsehood and the recreation? What are your inner thoughts about it, and how do you go about solving ऐसा वाला problem? क्योंकि ये भी मन में जागता है कभी कभी.
So first of all, it doesn't happen always actually. So what happens? Suppose I'm at your home, and we are having, I just came to your home, so you offered me water, then we are having tea or something, we are discussing. In that point, I am just observing you, right? Then I say, okay, now I have to take your photographs, right? Okay, so now you be in your moment only, and in that moment only, I'll try to capture those things only, right? The same things, what I observed. If something is kind of gone, for example, suppose people are eating food, now they are not eating food. Now in that situation, you have to ask them what time you will eat your food. I want to take the pictures while you are having food, no? Those emotions you had when you were like, no, the way you were feeding your child.
Yes.
In that moment, you try to get it kind of reenact the scene actually again, because the real moment has gone. Now you have to ask them, okay, can you feed food to your child again if it is possible? Or if it's possible, like, I can wait for 1 hour, 2 hours, the child is hungry again, then I can take. That's the one way. Second way, yeah, of course, you have to completely ask them to, can you just do the same thing what you were doing before actually when I did not take a picture in that moment. So in that moment, basically they know it. So I tell them completely why I want the same moment to show again actually. When they do, when they understand, and I'll tell you 80% chances time I have observed that people do it naturally then actually, because laughing, adoring baby, these things are like happen, right? And I'll tell you one very good example of this actually. That I was doing this work on COVID. So in the COVID actually the breadwinner were passed away. So I was visiting those families. and I was just knowing their story, how they are coping with the trauma and how they are coping with the financial things now, because all the breadwinners who passed away, they were like in their 40s, or 30 or 40, so children were young, or like toddlers, and some were going to school. So now a single mother was there, and I was talking to them, and of course, it was not like when you're talking to them, then they're sharing their story and they're crying. You can't like pick your camera and take the picture also, right? At the same time, no? That was something not very appropriate. Or of course, as a storyteller, you will not feel like that. You do not listen the person, then you write their story, right? How will you do that part, right? It also happens sometimes, but not usually, huh? Then I told them, when you were sharing that moment, you were crying, you had tears in your eyes. And I really wanted to capture those moments to write the story about, actually. And I could not take those pictures. I'll come next time. Again, next day I'll come. And I will, next day I'll take the photographs. And they said, okay, come. Then again, I'm talking them and I'm taking pictures. So I was just thinking, and there was someone very senior with me at that time, and he said, Rohit, what you are doing? And he made me realize, like you said, na, he made me realize that what you are doing is something like not very, like not that, how to say it, not very,
You're
it's something is based
capitalizing
on the
on their
relation.
emotions.
Yeah, how people are able to relate with the person actually, that kind of trust they are having in you or in anyone around there, whoever were with me. So it's based on relation also. So for example, when I go and I talk to people, this is something what I have learned, that when you look into the eyes of the people, you see that no watery eyes, or that wrinkles on the skin, or maybe the tone of the skin, the smile, you really feel that kind of strong emotions inside. In that moment, you do not kind of have any kind of perception about anyone, except that sense of love, no sense of connection. I think that really works. I think that's what I feel.
Oh, very beautifully human, and thank you for that lovely example. Uh, so, is it possible that as an artist, when you go to the heart of emotions, the heart of the
Mhm.
feeling, heart of the core of what makes us human,
Mhm.
and you also explain the context to people that you are photographing or representing in
Mhm.
that moment, that is what endears you to them, not your art, not your photography, not your money. You're just relating as a human being and allowing uh, the entire experience to be about humanity. And then you,
Yes.
when so then they don't see the photograph and tighten up like we do. Uh, they are not mesmerized by the photograph as much as they are still relating to you as a person who's good, but who seems to be a photographer.
Yeah,
Does
yeah,
that do the trick for you?
yeah. I'll tell you one very good example actually.
Please do.
Can I?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So as I mentioned about the inner child, no. So as a child, when the child is very, who all child who feels low, who don't have much self conviction, child who is afraid, right? So when I am a child and someone coming to my home, or do not greet me well, or do not like say hi, do not play with me, no, they just meet my parents, or they do their own work and then leave. The child feels very kind of no sidelined, right? Because he did not get that attention from the someone, no, from someone that know what he was looking at. Or maybe if the someone is coming, for example, you grown up in a small town, then you see someone who is coming like very urban person, no, having camera or having glasses, no, coming in the car in like 20 years back. So he used to, who is this person, no? But this person is not talking to me. He just did some work and then left. Now I see myself in that same situation. So that has helped me a lot. Whenever I go to the community, I feel that it's my duty that yeah, I really connect with the people actually. No, that kind of human connection has to be there. No? There has to be no difference between two people. No, I wanted to articulate in a better way. I am just missing the point. So I just yeah, so I just don't want, I just want to kind of observe the curiosity in the people, and I want to match their curiosity, so they also accept me the way, whatever way they can, and I also want them, I also want to accept them whoever they are. Sometimes they talk something very bad about my, maybe husband is talking something very bad about the wife, or about the gender also, right? But then you have to understand from where that person is functioning. It's not your point that you just judge the person and then you are giving your gyan and your knowledge and all these stuff, right? Or I also, if the conversation go something personal, then I also, if there is a possibility, I also share my own story also, my personal life, my family issues, all these things. So people don't see me like as a storyteller, and I'm the one who is separate from them. That is my goal actually, to connect with the people.
Wonderful. That kind of answers my question. I felt that you would be doing this because it's not in. I find there is a lot of love in rural India. If you're hungry, even if they don't know you, they'll go out of their way to. If they have two chapatis, they'll give you one and a half chapatis, and perhaps the entire two chapatis. They will go hungry, but they will ensure that you are well fed. In fact, they will go borrow and get two more chapatis from somebody, perhaps. Uh, has happened to me very often. I find the poorest are the kindest most times, and it's so beautifully human that it humbles you that they don't think twice about doing this, and it is our responsibility to figure out a way to
Mm.
merge into their surroundings.
Yes.
Like you very well put, that you try to be part of their whole environment, and then that you are a photographer becomes the incidental part of the whole thing. You also raised a very please.
Sorry, I want to add something in this, but you continue, then I'll add.
No, I have a question, so I am done with what I had to say.
So, so what also, this also happens now that like things are changing a lot actually. Earlier, I used to get to stay with the community, or maybe I was able to spend more time with the community, with the people. Now this doesn't happen often. Like at least in the last 2 3 years, I have seen this change. Now you don't have that kind of space that you really go and meet people and have kind of spend time with them, because they are also now busy. People are migrating for work, they are doing some other work also, no. And now I also go through organizations, so they don't have much time. They say, okay, you have to finish your job here, then you have to leave, right? We have to go to some other place. These kind of challenges are there. So now in these kind of challenges, okay, what can I do as a person? I just say, Rohit, okay, you just have the right intention. You know what you are photographing. You know what story you are saying. Do you really feel that this is really like kind of ethical and right? And you also show those photographs to the people that these are the photograph I have taken, and I will use one of these photographs. And whatever story I have, like we talked, anything if you want that I should not write or should not say, let me know. So they know everything in that short time, because now you don't have much time to spend with them, no. So the only thing you have, this have the right intention and be honest with yourself. And one thing is very important. I have learned, also realized in myself, that as a photographer, as a writer, whatever it is, like you try to kind of know, get some very intense moment or something, right? But you have to ask, or you have to know that do you really want to show that, because it might really grab a lot of attention, those words, those photo. But do you really think that this should go in the public, right? Person has trusted you, and sometimes they say, yes, okay, you can publish my photograph, but sometimes they don't know how the people are seeing their photograph, right? Because they don't have that exposure of the how the social media is working and all these things sometimes, right? Sometimes they can't imagine and they are trusting in somebody stranger. So that's also, these are the basic things I have kind of internalized in me, and I think that is really helping me a lot actually. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Uh, kind of one last question. You did mention, again, it is an ethical kind of question. You are in the middle of something which seems like that the person is bad mouthing someone, or they are having a fight, or they have something else, other stress happening in their lives, which you were not part of, but that has suddenly happened, and you're just there at the wrong moment, perhaps. Has
Mhm.
anything like that happened? And if it's a ethical and moral issue where something is happening which doesn't agree with your morals at that point of time, how do you deal
Mhm.
with it? Because we wear these rose tinted glasses and we go to this कि सारे विलेजर्स ऐसे ही होंगे, अच्छे ही होंगे और ऐसा होगा, तो ऐसी लाइफ है नहीं, सब लोग, दुनिया है, all kinds of people exist everywhere. So anything that you can share in this kind of context?
Yeah, certainly there are issues, there are superstitions, there are lots of opinions, political opinions, religious opinions, lots of things are there. The one thing I have learned that you don't have to really kind of argue things. What people are saying, you have to listen them. And you can, if you are not agreeing what they are saying, you simply can say mildly, okay, maybe I am not able to relate with this part. Then you move on actually. Because if you are having kind of sharing your opinion, they are sharing their opinion, then it's going to be a clash. There is no way out of this, right? Okay, because you are not there to like teach something to someone, right?
Yeah.
Maybe mostly you are there to learn about them actually, right? And a bit tell about myself, not to share my opinion or not to kind of teach my knowledge or understanding to other people, right?
Yeah. Wonderful. Uh, Sorry, I got one more question while you were answering this. Uh, if you had to say something about how the art, following this kind of art, obviously you mentioned a lot of nuances, the environment, the people, your own ethical choices, uh, the way you deal with your inner child and its need to be validated or growing out of it. Obviously, the journey you mentioned. How has the art changed you as a human being? Like, what is it that you take home? Say, very, very crudely put, if this were the last day of your life and now you look back and you have a chance to articulate what it means to you to be the kind of person you were because of this one. You could have chosen 20 years back to go down a corporate path, become an MBA, and do what other people are doing. How do you see this?
As I told you, I think the very first thing we were talking right after the introduction, I guess so. तराशना ना,
Hmm.
मैं उसको आर्ट नहीं बोलूंगा, मैं अपने उसको काम ही बोलूंगा। उस
Hmm.
काम ने ना मुझे तराशने में बहुत हेल्प किया है। तो मैंने जैसे कि शुरू में भी कहा था कि काम मेरे लिए एक मीडियम है खुद को जानने के लिए, और उसके द्वारा ना मुझे काफी अच्छा एक it took me a lot of time. Again, whatever I am telling you, I want to give it this subtext context also, that whatever I am telling you, I am telling you in a broad way, no? Lot of processing happened, right? Lots of low moments happened, right? And a lot of stress, anxiety, all the things like everyone I have also gone through, right? Whatever I am telling you, the kind of crux only, that surface
हाँ.
only I am telling you. हाँ, सो मेरे काम ने ना मुझे तराशने में बहुत हेल्प किया है। और जो लोगों को समझना, उनको सुनना, वो उसने उसमें मेरी बहुत हेल्प की है। अगर गुस्सा भी आ रहा है ना आपके ऊपर ना, एक मोमेंट पे गुस्सा आ रहा है और मेरी शायद वो 4 दिन तक भी गुस्सा रहेगा ना, मुझे इतना मालूम है कि हाँ, मुझे इस समय आपके ऊपर गुस्सा नहीं होना है। आ रहा है गुस्सा लेकिन होना नहीं, क्योंकि मुझे मालूम है ये गुस्सा अंदर का रिएक्शन आ रहा है। बट आई नो दैट पर्सन इन मी नाउ कि आप कहाँ से गुस्सा कर रहे होगे ना वो चीज, राइट? That might be your vulnerability, that might be your misunderstanding, that might be your stress level, that might be your not understanding the entire atmosphere of the society, atmosphere, the person who you are angry at, right? तो वो ना लोगों को समझने का एक आइडिया मिलने में आ जाता है। एट द सेम टाइम उसी समय मेरा बहुत ज्यादा स्ट्रांग फीलिंग भी है रिजेक्शन का। वो चाइल्ड मेरा चाइल्ड ही है, वो मेरा बच्चा जो अभी भी है ना अंदर का, वो है, उसको बहुत स्ट्रांग फीलिंग है रिजेक्शन होने का। इफ यू आर नॉट स्माइलिंग एट मी राइट नाउ, मेरा बच्चा बहुत डर जाएगा कि शायद कुछ तो अच्छा नहीं हो रहा है इस इंटरव्यू में, इस कॉन्वर्सेशन में, है ना? लेकिन वो
If I'm
कामनेस है।
smiling at you,
या इफ यू आर नॉट स्माइलिंग एट मी, एंड दैट इज हाउ सेंसिटिव माई चाइल्ड, इनर चाइल्ड इज एक्चुअली, वो अभी भी है। मैं आपको
अच्छा,
बता रहा हूँ, इतना है कि उसका जो अडल्ट है ना, उसने उसको अवेयर हो चुका है वो अब। तो वो एटलीस्ट उसको अब्जॉर्व करने का ट्राई करता है, उसको मालूम है कि गलत कुछ भी नहीं है यहाँ पर। लेकिन चाइल्ड तो डर ही गया ना, चाइल्ड तो सहम गया कि दिस पर्सन इज वेरी न्यूट्रल ऑन मी, शायद आई एम मिसिंग समथिंग हियर, नो, आई एम डूइंग समथिंग रॉन्ग हियर। तो वो जो चाइल्ड है ना, तो वो जो जो मैं काम करता हूँ लोगों के साथ ना, कम्युनिटीज के साथ ना, उसकी वजह से वो चाइल्ड कहीं कहीं बहुत ज्यादा प्रोवोक भी हो चुका है, क्योंकि उसको लगता है कि नहीं, लोग रिस्पॉन्ड नहीं कर रहे हैं। कभी कभी लोग बहुत स्माइल करते हैं तो चाइल्ड इतना खुश हो जाता है ना, तो वो जितनी भी फोटोग्राफ मैं लिया है, जितना भी काम किया है ना, जब लोग खुश स्माइल कर रहे होते हैं जब कही है, तो
हम्म,
जहां पे लोग स्माइल नहीं किया ना, वो चाइल्ड बहुत डरा हुआ काम करता है, बहुत डरा हुआ काम करता है। अगर आपके पास टाइम है तो मैं आपको थोड़ा सा छोटी सी कहानी बताऊंगा इसके
जी
बारे
जी
में।
जी जी।
है ना time?
हाँ, टाइम है, टाइम है।
तो मैं ब्रिक ब्रिक किल्ड वर्कर्स के साथ काम कर रहा था वेस्ट बंगाल में, और टेम्परेचर था 42-45 के आसपास था, कि ऐसी था, बहुत गर्मी थी बहुत ज्यादा। और ब्रिक किल्न में तो फर्नेस भी होता है ना, सो
हम्म
हीटिंग द
हम्म।
फायर, राइट? और उनको, वो लोग सुबह 4 बजे से लेकर काम करते 10 बजे तक, फिर करते थे दोपहर में काम 4 से 11, फिर ऐसे कुछ 2-3 घंटे का गैप होता था, फिर से काम करते थे वो लोग 2 या 3 बजे से, हाँ, उस गर्मी में, उस अंगारे के आसपास, फर्नेस के आसपास ना। और 20-20, 25-25 ईंटें रख के यहाँ से वहां शिफ्ट कर रहे हैं। मैं 3 दिन उनके साथ था। ही वॉज जस्ट वर्किंग हार्डली स्माइलिंग एट मी। मुझे लगा कन्विक्शन नहीं आ रहा, तो मैं कैसे उनका फोटोग्राफ लूंगा यार, ये लोग जब मुझे एक्सेप्ट ही नहीं कर रहे हैं। तो आई डोंट नो टेक देयर फोटोग्राफ। तो मैंने, अब गया था तो मैं कुछ कुछ फोटोग्राफ ले रहा हूँ, ऐसे ही ले रहा हूँ, करके करते कराते कराते, हाँ। 3 दिन हो गए, फिर आया संडे। संडे को छुट्टी होती है। फिर लोग में बैठा महिलाओं के साथ, पुरुषों के साथ, एंड दे वर लाइक, उन्होंने मेरे लिए, किसी ने एक खाना बनाया, किसी ने बोला यहाँ आओ, हमारे यहाँ आओ, हमारे यहाँ आओ। मैंने उनको बोला, दीदी आप लोग 3 दिन से खुश नहीं, मुस्कुरा नहीं रही थी ना, तो मुझे लगा था मैं आप लोगों का फोटोग्राफ कैसे लूं, आप लोगों ने मुझे स्वीकार नहीं किया है। बोला भैया हम इतनी गर्मी में काम कर रहे थे, और वो हमारा जो मालिक होता है नजर गड़ाया होता है, तो हम लोग बहुत फुर्ती फुर्ती से काम करना पड़ता है, हमारे लिए ना फटाफट करना पड़ता है। तो वो उसमें था ही नहीं हमारे पास। तो मुझे लगा कि देखो कितना बड़ा चीज है वो, कि मैं ऐसे सोच रहा था कि उन्होंने मुझे एक्सेप्ट नहीं किया, बट दे एक्सेप्टेड मी ना, तभी तो मुझे अलाउ भी किया उन्होंने 3 दिन की मैं फोटोग्राफ ले लूं उनका आराम से, है ना। बीच बीच में बातचीत भी किया जब उनके लंच टाइम था। लेकिन नॉट द वे जैसे कि जी मेरा इनर चाइल्ड चाह रहा था, वो नहीं हो। पर उसके बाद तो पूरा मेरा परसेप्शन ही चेंज हो गया ना लोगों के बारे में। दैट्स व्हाट माय वर्क हैज टॉट मी एक्चुअली।
Beautiful. The reason why I smile mostly is because of these moments that you create, that you mentioned. Uh, these are human moments that all of us relate to very strongly. So, whenever somebody asks me what is this about, I said this is about vulnerability on camera.
यस
And
यस।
that is why it is so difficult to get guests and get the right kind of guests. And आई कैन ओनली बी ग्रेटफुल। मैंने, मैं तो क्या मतलब, रोहित से ये निकलेगा ये भी गारंटी नहीं। 5 मिनट पहले चालू होने के पहले कि अगर रोहित फेक काइंड ऑफ पर्सन निकला तो क्या कर लूंगा।
राइट
एंड
राइट।
मुझे मालूम भी नहीं है, मतलब ऐसा हुआ है कई बार कि वो बहुत प्रॉपर बातें कर रहे हैं, बट मुझे नहीं समझ आ रहा। तो कोई कोई लोग होते हैं जो बहुत बातें नहीं करते, तो एकदम ही एक लाइन में आंसर खत्म करते हैं, हाँ ठीक, हाँ ठीक। एंड मुझे फिर मेरे को आधे घंटे में ख़त्म करना पड़ता है या 20 मिनट में ख़त्म करना पड़ता है, बिकॉज आई डोंट नो व्हाट एल्स टू आस्क। द
यस
एनवायरनमेंट आई कैन क्रिएट इज वन ऑफ ट्रस्ट एंड also look at myself whether I am being non-judgmental
यस यस।
at most. बाकी तो मैंने कैमरा चालू है, मैं भी उतना ही कैमरा के सामने हूँ। मैं खुद को कभी कभी देखता हूँ और बाद में मुझे दिखता है कि यार मैं भी काफ़ी स्ट्रेस आउट हुआ था ये वाले आंसर सुन के। मतलब मैं अपना शक्ल देख के, आई एम नॉट मी नाउ, द रिकॉर्डिंग हैज हैपेंड, आई एम नाउ अ व्यूअर, एंड व्हेन आई सी कि अरे क्यों मैं ऐसा सोच रहा था, क्या हो रहा था मुझे।
Yes.
So this kind of studying also keeps happening because it's a journey of humanity. It
हाँ,
cannot be that you are always right and I am always wrong, or I am always right, you are always wrong. I allow it to be what it is. And like you said, sometimes the kid wins, sometimes the adult wins. And you have to, you just calm down and say कि ठीक ही हो रहा है, माने जो हो रहा है, वैसे भी इतनी बड़ी दुनिया चल रही है, हम तो चला नहीं रहे।
right,
एंड
right.
आई फाइंड इट इज़ वेरी, इट सूट्स माई हार्ट कि जब इतना सब ठीक चल रहा है तो मैं भी ठीक ही कर रहा हूँ, इसमें क्या ही इतना जज करना।
Yes, yes.
So this has been one of the most fascinating uh, journeys that I have started the new year with. इससे पहले वाला एपिसोड भी बहुत प्यारा हुआ था। इन 2026 अगर ऐसे एपिसोड्स लाने वाला है तो आई एम सो ग्लैड दैट आई हैव पीपल लाइक यू टू हेल्प मी कम आउट विद कॉन। आई डू नॉट लाइक द वर्ड कंटेंट बिकॉज ऐसा लगता है कि कुछ ऐसा आर्टिफिशियल है।
Right,
ये
right,
ये
right.
नहीं है, दिस इज लाइक एक्चुअली रोहित पुटिंग आउट रोहित आउट देयर। पीपल में एक्सेप्ट और नॉट, बट एटलीस्ट वो ऑनेस्टी को एक्सेप्ट करना चाहिए, कि डेयरिंग को एक्सेप्ट करना चाहिए, कैमरा पे ये बातें हो सके। आई विश द बेस्ट फॉर योर आर्ट एंड योर जर्नी एज एन आर्टिस्ट। एंड आपका तराशना बहुत ही खूबसूरत जर्नी है। मे इट कंटिन्यू एंड मे यू फ्लावर। थैंक यू सो मच फॉर ज्वाइनिंग मी टुडे।
Thank you. Thank you for doing all these kind of interview actually. And it's really the approach which you shared before, I think, being recording also, I think before the recording also, that you just how you want to remain it very honest and very candid without uh, lesser and lesser editing actually. I really found this approach very true actually, true to the heart. And I also thought that one thing, maybe a feedback. I thought you will ask some more like kind of personal questions, personal journey, because for me, the person like me actually, and the kind of true platform it is, I am more I really like to share that inner from where the person is functioning actually, So as a person, I'm very curious. Suppose if I have to talk to you more in person, I will ask more. I will try to know about from where you function as a person, not what I am seeing as a person to you right now. That is what my curiosity is
Which
all.
I would think there is not much change. As a person, I am almost like this. In fact, one day I was thinking कि I should be as non-judgmental as I am on camera. बाहर तो मैं
Hmm.
बहुत जल्दी जजमेंट कर लेता हूँ। ऑन कैमरा आई एम फ्री के अच्छा मेरा गेस्ट अगर इतना ईमानदारी से आ रहा है तो ये स्पेस तो बहुत सेक्रेड है। और रही बात, तो आई थॉट कि दीज वी विल हैव अ टॉक अगेन सम डे परहैप्स इन अ लिटिल वाइल, but to me these were very personal answers you gave, because you talked about the inner journey of how you come
Yeah.
uh, to the art itself. I thought these were very interesting things because कई बार ना I find कि ethically we are willing to compromise
Hmm.
because we'll get a good shot.
Hmm.
uh, तो एक बहुत साल पहले एक मैंने एड रिकॉर्ड की थी। आई वॉज द राइटर एंड आई वॉज देयर एट द शूट। देयर वॉज अ सी सॉ और 50 ग्राम ज़्यादा वाला ऐड था। तो जो पतली लड़की है वो नीचे बैठी है और सी सॉ ऊपर हो गया है, और जो थोड़ी हैवी लड़की है वो नीचे नहीं आ पा रही है, स्कूल किड है। वो बेचारी स्कूल किड ऊपर बैठ बैठ के ना उसको इधर लाल हो गया था थाइस। मैं काफ़ी हर्ट हुआ था अपने आप से। अभी उस दिन तो कुछ किया नहीं जा सकता। देयर इज जस्ट टू मच कमर्शियल प्रेशर एंड you can't really help it because she has to sit there for the shot to get right, the camera angle to come correct. और आई रियली फेल्ट कि नहीं, ऐसा थोड़ा सोच समझ के भी काम करना चाहिए। ऑल्दो आई लकीली ऐसा बाद में कभी एक्सपीरियंस हुआ नहीं है, but there are days when it pushes that, and this commercial setup does put a lot of pressure on uh, how we will come out of it. As much as one can be honest and
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, that's why I like the answers you gave, and that's why it is so heartening to hear and say कि अरे हाँ यार मतलब एक artist, what an artist is in his heart really affects the way he projects his art. It cannot be two separate things.
Yes, yes, very true.
You know?
But one thing also, I just last thing I want to add that yeah,
Please.
as you said, no, kind of things happen sometime in the field, no, which might not be that ethical or maybe disturbing or maybe sometimes you do something extra actually which might not be very healthy to anyone, no. Yeah, sometimes these things happen and we can only just learn from these lessons actually. And for me, it actually also happened this thing in sometime with me also. And I'm just looking at the challenges you face in your field because your field is very commercial and it would be very difficult for you to manage those things. But in my field, of course, it's very human centric, no, non-commercial. So it's fine. And it's very easy to maintain those things, whatever the value you are inheriting, right? But in your field, it must be very, very difficult for you.
Yeah, yeah. There are things that one can't tell you on camera,
Yeah.
but sometimes you really have to. And but one way I have solved it is I started choosing what jobs and what projects to take or not. How I will deal with things. I will move away from the hardcore mass entertaining or big brands are going to put this kind of pressure. I realize I do, as a writer also I took a back seat. I started doing boring stuff. There nobody is interested, so I'm doing engineering stuff, I'm doing machine का stuff. उसमें बहुत कम दिक्कत है ये वाली. Because there is like photographs वैसे हैं, you have to write technically, you don't have to lie, there is no pressure. So then I I realize कि ये जो तराशना है ना वो छोड़ता नहीं है. Then you have to really uh, give some satisfaction to your heart. You have to say कि जो भी प्रेशर है उसको साइड में रखते हैं, बट लेट्स बी ट्रू टू आवरसेल्व्स. ऐसा मेरा सोचना रहा है.
Very good.
थैंक यू सो मच.
Yes. Okay.